Surah 23, starting at verse 88. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Say, in whose hand is all sovereignty over all things, and he is the only one who can provide help, but needs no help if you know. They will say, God. Say, where did you go wrong? We have given them the truth while they are liars. God has never begotten a son, nor was there ever any God beside him. Otherwise, each God would have declared independence with his creations, and they would have competed with each other for dominance. God be glorified far above their claims. Yeah, so we can see, these are the people that bear witness that God, they bear witness to God's existence, right? And, how there is a God, the one God, but, yet, when you ask them on whose hands is, all sovereignty, or you ask them who's in control of all things, they'll say God, but then if you ask them the question about, does he need any help, or what can your idols do for you, they turn away in aversion, just as the Quran says, when God alone is mentioned, and that's it. They're not satisfied with that. And you can see, God gives all these people the truth, right? Especially with this final testament, the Quran. And we have, in our day and age, we have the mathematical miracle, which it confirms everything we're reading. Yet, these people will still lie, make up lies about God. And these are the most evil people, too, who invent lies and, mislead other people. And so, there's people that claim he has begotten a son, or think that there's the Trinity, and these multiple different factions of God. And, right there in their Old Testament, too, in Deuteronomy, it says God is indivisible, but if you show these people, right, because the truth was given to them at the time of Moses, it's been the same other, and then minus the distortions, which are easily detectable in the Bible, they tend to argue with that and are not satisfied, and we have a good example about, if there were multiple gods, if that were the case, which is never going to be, and it never will be, and it isn't, you would see them fighting amongst each other, because you can kind of see that these examples, like in this world too, if you put two CEOs in a company, they're going to clash and they're going to have issues, and eventually one of them is going to try to get the people to side with him or his policies. And so the same thing is we have the same logic as applies to God, and the system. So God be glorified is far above their claims. 92, the knower of all secrets and declarations, be he exalted far above having a partner. Say, my Lord, whether you show me the retribution they have incurred or not, my Lord, let me not be one of the transgressing people. To show you the retribution we have reserved for them is something we can easily do. Therefore, counter their evil works with goodness. We are fully aware of their claims. So, God is far above having any partners. Be he exalted. He's in no need of any help. And the more people, the more we can maybe challenge people to think. Even after giving them, we have the mathematical miracle, but I think. Just to have them ask, or, I like the example that's was given to us from the messenger. And if, you ask somebody, look at the sun, not directly because you hurt your eyes, but, think about the sun, or look at the moon and look at the stars, and you can ask yourself, what role did Muhammad have in creating that, or determining the speed of the rotation and all of that. So, God is far above needing anybody or having any partners, and it's just as bad to even think that God would allow this type of behavior too. Like, to even think that God would sit here and like, oh, I need some help, or I need somebody to rule with me. Like, that's exactly what Satan thought. So we have to now that we know it's we have to maybe we have to invite other people, let's say, that are still stuck in their idol worshiping ways. And we can see, this is a good thing to implore for. My Lord, let me not be one of the transgressing people. So, and also it's verses 93 to 95. It's showing God can easily show the retribution that's been reserved for people if He wills or not. Imploring God for something like that reflects your belief in God, because they know then it's the inevitable system, if you want to call it, or law that people who transgress will inevitably get inflicted with retribution, and so we don't want to be amongst those people, right? So just like Abraham implored, it's for Him to make me one who observes the contact prayers and forgive my sins on the day of resurrection. So these are good things to ask God for. Even throughout the day, and we can see here too that God is fully aware of the transgressors, and so whatever evil works people commit, we can counter them with goodness, because we don't fight evil with evil. There's like that, it's in our best interest to counter evil works with goodness. So if someone's in we can do that by leading the righteous life, striving in the cause of God, and if we see a falsehood being committed, we stand up against it, and we speak out against it, right? We don't just cower or not say anything, but we can only, once we warn people, we can, the ball's in their court whether they want to accept or not. So verse 97, to be protected from Satan. Say, my Lord, I seek refuge in you from the whispers of the devils, and I seek refuge in you, my Lord, lest they come near me. And that's Rabbi A'udhu Bika min Hamazati Shaitin wa A'udhu Bika Rabbi Anyadhur. That's the Arabic, and that's something good to learn, or I learned, some time ago, because the Arabic is has all of this stuff is mathematically coded, right? And so we know this is it's a commandment right here to be protected from Satan, to say these things. So these are good things for our soul, to say throughout the day, or even if we think our companion is or Satan is whispering to us, we can seek refuge in God. And also by doing this, we're acknowledging the fact that only God can protect us, right? And from and that we need His protection, and that we're not arrogant or egotistical to think like, oh, I can take Satan by myself, I can outthink him in my head, or some kind of silly stuff like that. Like, no, we can. He's very clever. So seeking refuge in God it's a commandment, and it's something we should try to remind ourselves to do. The dead never come back until the day of resurrection. When death comes to one of them, he says, my Lord, send me back. I will then work righteousness in everything I left. Not true. This is a false claim that he makes. A barrier will separate his soul from this world. So, yeah, this is it's kind of scary to think about in the sense, this is what the person who leaves this world as a sinner, transgressor, a doubtful, these doubter, these are the people that this is what they're going to be saying when they depart from this world and they know their destiny. They're going to be asking to be sent sent back and claim that they're going to work righteousness and everything that they left. But I mean, as we know, this life is our chance here, to fix our flaws, be purified by God with God's help. And so this is our chance. This was the chance that this person got, and we can see God is most wise. So God knows. He says not true. This is a false claim he makes. So my understanding is, like, if that was true, then this person would have already worked righteousness in this world, right? Like, if this is and it's really terrible too, because it's like you kind of want to think, like, once they see the retribution and it's there in front of them, they know what they're getting into, like they're actually gonna sit here and reform, like, above all things, like it's gonna this is gonna be the most important thing in their life if they were sent back. But even that's not true. Like, knowing that, they still wouldn't do that. So you can see that God, like, once the soul is separated, that's it. God is the best reckoner. He's the best keeping accounting for everybody. So he knows best, and so this is may God help us with our redemption, because a lot of people are gonna make these false claims. When the horn is blown, no relations among them will exist on that day, nor will they care about one another. So yeah, nepotism, people who in this world who they could work, they have family or something, or they have all these friends, and as the Quran said, there's not going to be any nepotism on that day, which is like, it's so if you have favor in this world, or you think you could pull strings because of your family and whatever, could be at a company or this or that, or any type of influence, that's not going to work on the day of resurrection. No relations is going to exist among them either. So that also is probably it's talking about so like your brother, your sister, or they're not even going to be your brother and sister on the day. You're not going to care about them in that way, and they're just your brothers and sisters. Like, I'm talking about the the blood related just here on this earth. But on that day, no one's going to be friends with anybody. Everyone's going to be disowning each other. A father can't help his son. A son can't help his father. So it's they're not going to care about anybody. All they're going to care about is their own destiny. So this should, and we know this is mathematically proven. So I've reminded myself, and I've maybe had a conversation with people before, or a person before. It's like, okay, if you know this, then the social pressure and stuff that people or this person would fall into, or we shouldn't cave into that stuff, because like you're gonna disown and curse one another in hell, I guess, for eternity, if just because you worshipped idols together, and you by worshiping idols with these people, they maintained friendship, they had relations, they were able to get more influence and better deals in life or something, but if they only realize that these people, they're not going to mean anything to anybody. So it should be put things, if they really believed in the hereafter, they would give this thought, so this is thank God for the Quran. We have this information. As for those whose weights are heavy, they will be the winners. Those whose weights are light are the ones who lost their souls. They abide in hell forever. Fire will overwhelm their faces, and they last miserably therein. So you can see the souls that are developed and nourished through worshiping God alone, they're going to be able to withstand God's presence, so they're going to be the winners, they're going to be the successful ones. And it's also important to think you can do there's things that can nullify everything you've done for the soul, and that's idol worship, right? So if you're people, it's like the Quran talks about the worst losers. Like, there's people that are going through life and they're worshiping the prophets or the saints or anybody, and they're, let's say, doing, some seemingly good works and nice works, but, they're, instead of tithing or giving charity to the relatives and the orphans and the needy, they're giving all this money to the church, and or let's say an imam or something, and they think they're really doing good. They think they're very righteous and they're praying and they're very devoted, but so whatever goodness that they did do, it's all going to be nullified. It's not going to mean anything because they missed the mark by worshiping idols and not realizing God's qualities. So their souls are going to be light. Their souls are going to be all that's going to be nullified. So, even people that don't do anything for their souls, they go into the negative by living with sin for so long. Their souls are going to be undeveloped. They're not going to be able to move or do anything or prostrate before God on that day. So they're going to be forced to go to hell by their own choices. And we can see how long it's going to be eternal, and fire overwhelming their faces. This is we can only imagine how painful and just humiliating that would be. If like 100 people were watching somebody get sprayed with fire in their face, and this person was just locked in his chair, couldn't do anything. Not to get gruesome, but this is the reality of this stuff. Because the Quran does say hell will be extremely humiliating, and their faces will be shamed. This is just terrible, So, and this is the consequence, as we know from the Quran, that this is the destiny for people who continually reject God's revelations. They kept on rejecting them, and we can see God is the most gracious, most merciful. His revelations were recited to them, and they kept on rejecting them. So God gives the human being so many chances, so they won't have anything to say against that. So verse 106, we can see their response. They will say, "Our Lord, our wickedness overwhelmed us, and we were people, excuse me, gone astray." Excuse me. Our Lord, take us out of this. If we return to our old behavior, then we are really wicked. He will say, "Abide therein, humiliated, and do not speak to me." They ridiculed the believers. A group of my servants used to say, "Our Lord, we have believed, so forgive us and shower us with mercy. Of all the merciful ones, you are the most merciful." But you mocked and ridiculed them to the extent that you forgot me. You used to laugh at them. I have rewarded them today in return for their steadfastness by making them the winners. So you can see that the wicked people that end up in hell, they're gonna even bear witness themselves about their wickedness. Because right now they probably don't think that they're wicked. As we have other examples of the Quran, I think maybe it was like the people of Hud or Saleh, or maybe the dwellers of the woods. Like when the retribution came to them, they said themselves, like, by God, we were really wicked, or it could have been the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, but they realized their crime, right? They realized how bad they were, and they're as you can see, where they're gonna, and as the verse just mentioned earlier, they're gonna be begging God to take them out of this, and even bearing witness that if they repeat the same mistake, that they're really wicked, like extremely wicked, and we already know that they would. So God knows that these people are really wicked, so they're gonna abide there and humiliated, and they're not even gonna be allowed to speak to God. And these are the same people that ridiculed the believers. These are the people that. Even at the time of the messenger, when the mathematical miracle of the Quran, the greatest of all miracles, it came out. It was all good up until it proclaimed for them to disregard and disown their idol worship and get rid of it and worship God alone, which is awesome. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, they didn't like that. So they attacked the messenger. They attacked the people who followed him. I mean, even today, you still have people who are allergic to the Quran, or just because they don't know things, or they'll see a verse posted inviting to God, and they go and mock. And I've seen this before. Not really in person. I haven't seen it in person, but it's obviously done online and stuff. When you're trying to spread the message in a nice way, you have people who mock, and these people are going to be overwhelmed with their decisions to engage in such ignorant, or I'll just call it stupid behavior, because this is the fate. This is their fate. But you see, they mocked and ridiculed to the extent that they forgot God. So used to laugh at them. I've seen this like online, like you specifically. So it's nothing. Even if we experience this, it's nothing to worry about, because the Quran, we know that this stuff, if we stand firm, remain steadfast, right? This stuff is going to be given to us. It's going to be counted. I guess you can say we can get more credit and points for it, as long as we stay solid and we don't resort to their level of insulting and just continue to be strong. So we know that these people are going to be the losers, and it's just, all this is just temporary until that date comes. So it shouldn't affect. God willing, it shouldn't really have an impact on you. He said, "How long have you lasted on earth? How many years?" They said, "We lasted a day or part of a day. Ask those who counted." He said, "In fact, you stayed but a brief interim, if you only knew." So these, they're going to be bearing witness. They're going to be bearing witness they only lasted a day or part of a day. And, the God is going to tell them, in fact, you stayed, but for a brief interim, if you only knew. And I think there's another area in the Quran where maybe you said a few hours, but nonetheless, this should say a lot, this speaks a lot, should speak a lot to, or it should have a lot of meaning, because these people are asked how many years, and so, they're not going to answer, I was alive for 78 years, or 52 years, or this, or 100, or 15 years, whatever they lived to. 15 wouldn't count, because they wouldn't be in hell, but they're gonna bear witness that how short this life was. So if we just ask ourselves, okay, what's part of a day? A couple hours or something, like, and you were asked to do something that was very, go through this gruesome test through part of a day, but like you had all the tools. It was very straightforward and very easy to follow. However, the test itself is difficult, but if you were to give it your all, and be sincere, and you're wanting to pass your test and do good and be successful, then you'll be helped. So for part of a day, that's we can look at it like that, and if things tend to overwhelm us in life, we can remember, we can remember this, and remember that this every day is bringing us closer to the hour, right? Every day is bringing us closer to our meeting with our Creator. So all of this is just it puts things in perspective, and it makes things easier to for us to think about and do. Did you think that we created you in vain, that you are not to be returned to us? most exalted is God, the true sovereign. There is no God beside him, the most honorable Lord, possessor of all authority. So, we see this is the case with a ton of people out there. They look at like the stars or like they are atheists or agnostics. People that don't believe in the day of resurrection. They really, I guess they're the same people that don't give God a second thought, because if they did, they would look around the creation of the heavens and the earth and see, how many things are running perfectly, how many systems are in place. You don't see any glitches, like the sun just doesn't decide to rise one day or start flashing out or like turn off and on. Like none of that. Like there's so many, like hundreds of billions of things that are just going right down to atomic level. So if they were to think about all this, then they could maybe realize that this is not in vain, right? But those who are filled with arrogance in their heart, I've known, somebody or atheist, wasn't a friend, but that's, you can see, you understand his belief, and this is their trait. They're arrogant to the point to think that that they just existed from whatever, and they themselves, they themselves suffer. They're miserable. If you get to know these people, deep down inside, they're miserable, and this is why, because they disbelieved in God, they disbelieved in the truth. After getting the message, of course, because you don't want to write people off if you haven't somehow given them the message, and we can see La ilaha illallah, there's no God beside him, the most honorable Lord, possessor of all authority. So all authority belongs with God. It doesn't belong with any prophets or any saints, like so many people do. And it's just really something that Satan has hypnotized these people to believe in. So I was going to read 117. So anyone who idolizes beside God any other God, and without any kind of proof his reckoning rests with his Lord, the disbelievers never succeed. So you can see the accounting, like the reckoning, is always rests with God. It doesn't rest with Muhammad or Jesus or any, which not say them, because for anyone, most people who out of the believers, they believe in God, but they also believe in idol worship, Muhammad and Jesus. So these are the people that, God willing, they'll come to see, but you can see that they're never going to have any proof. So this is almost kind of like, so it's challenging them. Okay, if you idolize God, but if you idolize someone else besides God, any other God besides God, and you come with proof, then you're not going to be able. But the thing is, there's no such thing. There's not going to ever be any proof. So this is why, like, you ask them, well, come up with some type of proof, and they can't. They can't even call. They can't even communicate, or can't even. Jesus or Muhammad doesn't even know that they're alive. He doesn't even know their name. And yet they're calling on him. And they were just a man that, or they were just a human being like us. So they don't have any proof. So it's just too bad for them. When they, when they go to face God, if they haven't reformed yet. Say, my Lord, shower us with forgiveness and mercy. Of all the merciful ones, you are the most merciful. Surah 24, light. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. A surah that we have sent down and we have decreed as law. We have revealed in it clear revelations that you may take heed. So yeah, these are clear revelations for those who believe, and this is everything in here. In this surah, even in the Quran, everything is the law, So whatever commandment and It's not a suggestion, like some people try to make it out to be. It's actual commandment that you have to adhere to this. And naturally, as a submitter, you shouldn't be like, oh, I have to just obey, just because like God doesn't want those people, because those are submitters who are just submitting because they have to. We know the disbeliever submits unwillingly, right? But only because they're. But you have to actually prefer, and you'll grow to love God's law, because it's the best. It invites the happiness, and naturally it makes the most sense, and it's the best. So after coming to submission, because I've seen like people from other religions, and this is how they don't have the truth, because if they did, there's a lot of people that follow these laws, or they call it the Old Testament law, or this law, or whatever, and then they're like it hurts them to want to obey God, right? But those people, that's just too bad for them. Adultery. The adulteress and the adulterer, you shall whip each of them 100 lashes. Do not be swayed by pity from carrying out God's law. And we got a footnote. If you do not be swayed by pity from carrying out God's law, if you truly believe in God and the last day, and let a group of believers witness their penalty. So I'll read the footnote. Let's see. So social pressure, for example, public witnessing of the penalty is the basic punishment. See also Surah 5, verse 38. The lashes shall be symbolic, not severe. So this is a huge deterrent. You even have I've seen people. There's terrible situations, but like people that get blasted on social media for their immoral, just wicked behavior, end up getting shamefaced, and to the point of I've seen it play out, and it makes sense too. Even in this day and age, you can see the effectiveness of and the truth behind this verse about the social pressure and the witnessing of such behavior. So maybe we can talk more about this, but I do want to mention that adultery and fornication are the same thing. It's not going to use fornication here or fornicator, because in the Arabic there's only one word for this type of behavior, and it's adult. There's one word, so adultery is the most fitting. Those who have disease in their hearts are gonna be like, oh well, fornication is it's talking about adultery here, not fornication. Like, no, fornication, adultery, when you're engaging in this type of behavior outside of marriage, it's evil. It's bad. So whether it's with a married person or not, or whether you're vice versa in your situation, or if in both parties. We can even see here how it says that adulterers will end up marrying an adulterer, an idol worshiper. So you could say, okay, well, look, this person wasn't married, So, but we don't even need that we have that too, as more evidence. But people try to distort the meaning just to fit whatever premise or little whatever idea they're trying to push that benefits their situation. They're just fooling themselves, and really they're acquiescing to their own wishes and the people's wishes, and then they're just they're compromising too, which we know people who do that don't end up nothing ends well for them. So finishing reading verse 3. The adulterer will end up marrying an adulteress or idol worshiper, and the adulteress will end up marrying an adulterer or idol worshiper. This is prohibited for the believers. So, just again, if like adultery, you had to be married to commit adultery, right? Well, how come it's saying an adulterer will end up marrying an adulteress or idol worshiper? What if Because wouldn't they say, oh, we'll have to divorce their person first, or the significant other, and then marry? Well, no, we can see that these people, obviously, it constitutes that they weren't married in the first place, or maybe they were, but we can see from the verse that, the two are the same, they're the same, they mean the same, they have the same punishment, they're the same. One is not, it's like saying, like, oh, just idol worshiping, Jesus 50% isn't as bad as idol worshiping, Jesus 85%. Like, no, both are bad, both are going to be punished for, and everything's prohibited. So, people who try to dispute this fact, because I have heard that there's been, some confusion made by this, and this isn't what this is. This is just doubt too, coming from these people. I was told that there was people who thought like this. These people are hypocrites, because I was just listening to an audio last night. The messenger himself was talking about, from audio 46, about hypocrites, how they sit with the believers. And I mean, there's no one here. This is something that I was told that happened at another masjid or somewhere some time ago. But they spread doubt, they spread falsehood. And also the fact that they would, make such a big issue over this, over something, like they're trying to, I guess, distinguish the righteousness, or this sin is better than this. Just shows that they don't take any of this stuff seriously, because they would listen to what God is saying in the Quran, and they would follow it, right? So moving on, excuse me. Verse 4, those who accuse married women of adultery, then fail to produce 4 witnesses, you shall whip them 80 lashes, and do not accept any testimony from them. They are wicked. Yeah. If they repent afterwards and reform, then God is forgiver, most merciful. So we can see people who deceive or lie, and they can't produce any witnesses. They also get punished themselves. And after that, if you're to witness such a thing, you don't accept any testimony from them ever again. It doesn't say, do not accept any testimony for a time period. Like, no, like the Quran is calling these people wicked, because they had to be like probably the most evil people in the first place to even make up something like this. So like, they're probably destined from hell from the start. It's easy to see if they were to do such a evil thing, because the amount of damage. And we have the example of the rumor, that was started, and we have the example in the Quran I think it might be in this surah, but or one of the surahs, but how they accused a righteous, pious woman, Muhammad, if I'm recalling correctly, Muhammad's spouse, of doing something bad. These are the most evil people, because let's just say that would have gotten, God protects the believers, and all these people were exposed, but the people who the person who initiated that rumor, Quran even says they have a terrible retribution. So they're obviously going to hell, because only the most evil person would even think about doing something like that. And of course, if they repent afterwards, then God is forgiver, most merciful. So, it's not to say that people can't repent, but we do know right here, you don't accept any testimony from them in the future. So if they decide to repent, that you don't need to know about. They don't need to tell you. You're not even supposed to accept any testimony from them, and that includes, I guess, a testimony of their repentance. So that's between them and God. So their judgment lies with God. As we can see, if you were to accuse your own spouse, you'd have to produce, if he swears by God 4 times, telling that he's the truth. And that's if you don't have any witnesses. The 5th oath shall be to incur God's condemnation upon him if he was lying. So I guess maybe we can talk about this too, but I kind of looked at this, I guess, as like the fifth oath, like is like your fifth and final chance to like really. So let's say you were lying, which why would why would you even do that in the first place? Like, but let's just say that was the case. Your fifth oath, like you swear by God 4 times, and then the fifth time is you. I guess that's like the number. Like, okay, this is your fifth time to really think about what you're doing and what you're claiming. Like, so, and if you decide to, this is your fifth reminder to yourself or fifth swearing and oath, and if you still go through with it and you swear, then you end up getting God's condemnation if he was lying. And she shall also be considered innocent if she swears by God 4 times that he is a liar, and the fifth oath shall incur. So we can see, there's protection for the woman too here, because sure, it supersedes. It appears what the man is swearing if if she's innocent, because there's been a lot of cases where wicked people accuse innocent people. I guess. Like it's really bad, I guess, in maybe the Middle East and stuff, and or whatever countries, but they accuse where they'll go kill, the woman over nothing, just because I think we even have the example of I think the messenger, there was a princess or something, the Middle East, that didn't like her husband, like maybe because he was like really bad and abusive or something, but she ended up, I think, divorcing him. Everything was legal, and then some lie was produced, and I think they ended up beheading her or something, unfortunately. But this stuff is as it says right here, as law. So this stuff has to be carried out, But we can see that the hypocrite. Traditional Muslims and Arabs of today's world, and even the world that existed shortly after the Prophet's death, they don't follow any of this. They follow their hadiths and all that nonsense and their own. They just make up their own laws, and they're the biggest hypocrites because they think they're doing so much good, and they think they're so righteous by like killing people over nothing, and that they're following God's law, but they're actually the worst type of people, because they're attributing all these lies and falsehoods to God. And then consequently they give true Islam, submission is the term, they give it the word Islam a bad name, or they contribute to people being allergic to the Quran, which is, but if, as I was, talking with someone recently, if someone is allergic to the Quran and not can even give it any thought, just because of, 5 letters, Quran, it's they probably didn't deserve to get the Quran either, because everyone that has come to the Quran, obviously, that is here with us right now or could be listening, they're obviously weren't allergic to the Quran, especially like coming from different backgrounds, mashallah. Okay, 2 more verses and then we'll can conclude the study. The fifth oath shall, okay, I already read that actually. So last verse, this is God's grace and mercy towards you. God is Redeemer, most wise. So thank God for his mercy and grace, and he sent to us accurate information and the correct law and the correct way to carry things out, and it really makes things easy for us. Like the blueprint for us is right in front of us, so all we have to do is follow it, imagine trying to figure this stuff out for ourselves, or being completely in the dark like so many generations were, and you're committing all these types of atrocities, maybe thinking that you know best, or man's law is better, but we know that man's law always fails, and that when you follow God's law, you have happiness. So with that, brothers and sisters, I'll end this part of the teaching session. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free.
That was great. Maybe the future.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother John. Thank you. Wonderful.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.
Thank you.
With the screen share button. Yes, thank you. Yeah, mashallah. I think that regarding what you said about the doubts and stuff, I think it's so important for submitters, to be aware of this category of people. When people come into submission, they're, under this idea that, like in some groups, people are told to maybe have this sort of tolerance for people who have different understandings. And I mean, to some degree, like it makes sense, but for the most part, I mean, this kind of is also we have to be aware that, like for example, we can have different understandings regarding certain details, like okay, which part of Red Sea was Moses crossing, or things like that, like details. But when it comes to fundamentals of our religion, the rights decreed by God and God's laws, as we were just talking about, these are very straightforward laws that God has described in the Quran, and it's important for all submitters to be on the same page. And if someone's trying to change these laws or twist these laws, and they're doing it deliberately, and when I say deliberately, like they are being reminded, they're shown proofs, and they still continue to insist on their own personal opinions, that definitely, is a red flag for people, because, God says the believers have certain traits, and the believers will exercise those traits. For example, God has given attributes of the believers, right? God says they do not commit adultery, they do not have, sexual relations with other than their wives. They are trustworthy, they're honest, things like that. So these are all traits, and God says, they hear and they obey. They don't react to God's revelations as if they're deaf and blind when they're reminded, and they do not spread falsehood, they do not attribute lies to God. And so all these things, they do not, I mean, they're not the ones who will try to extricate a certain meaning from multiple meaning verses, etc., etc., So we have the traits of the believers and we have the traits of the hypocrites. And so we have to be aware that, where we have to draw the line where it comes to people having like a different perspective on something versus, someone really trying to change the religion. And so these are two different things, and we have to know how to make the distinction among both. And usually it's very easy, so God has made things very easy for us when it comes to religion, and that's why the laws in the Quran are very straightforward for us to distinguish.
Yeah, mashallah. I'm glad you expounded upon that and clarified on that, because it is important. Because as we can see, like those things are they're big things, you know, like they're parts of the religion and parts of the law and what we have to follow. And when people try to change that's different than, as you said, like uh, wondering or curious about which part of like the Red Sea or where exactly in part of the Jordan River was Sodom and Gomorrah or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very, very true.
Sure. So we have I guess, if there are no comments about the verses, I guess, or while we're still looking at verses, maybe we have a new attendee with us, Sister Haveen. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Would you like to introduce yourself? Okay. So yeah, anyone else have any questions, comments? No, we can't hear you. Sorry, sister. You have to unmute your microphone. You have to press the mic button to unmute it. It's still muted. So press it once to unmute it. Should be at the bottom of your screen. No, it was never unmuted. I've been looking at it. It was never pressed. It's still muted. Maybe you're clicking on it twice. You have to just click on it once.
So it's showing, I'm on my phone from this, it's showing unmuted on this side, but I'm looking at the
Okay,
desktop OBS. It's still showing it's muted for
okay.
some
So if it's
reason.
unmuted, maybe she can try. I don't see it unmuted. It says participant is muted. Okay, no worries. You can try again later or keep trying in the meantime. No, I'm not talking about your mute, John. I was talking about the person Haveen.
No, I know, but it's weird because from my iPhone, from this
Oh,
account, everyone like her mute thing is gone. But when I look on the desktop, it's
okay.
there or it's muted.
Okay. Looks like she might rejoin.
Yeah, brother. Like John said, it shows it right here that she unmutes it and mutes it back, and then
Okay.
unmutes it.
Okay. 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 For some reason, my desktop is doing weird. Okay. Because John also sent me a message about his own mute button, so I thought maybe.
Oh, okay. I have the right one muted on OBS, right?
Maybe I didn't check. I think so. 'Cause I can't hear you.
It's
Otherwise,
it's the
well,
mic Ox.
yeah, Mike Ox. Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
cool.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so mashallah, we read a lot of verses, and we must have some questions about them too, if we Uh, look at them. Yeah, all this stuff about God having a son. If you think of something like, I mean, if you made God like say three gods, right? It's like imagine you have a car. You're driving a car and you give control to three people at the same time. So you have three steering wheels in the car, right? What's going to happen? The car is going to break apart. One's going to try to steer it left, and the other one is going to try to steer it right, and something's going to happen, right? And so we understand that this is God's system. Like it says, each God would have declared independence with his creation, and they would have competed with each other for dominance. And yeah, they could have split up, they could have had their own kingdoms or whatnot. And we understand that God's universe says that we see around us, including our first universe, everything is in complete harmony, and God is controlling everything.
Mashallah, brother, great example. That's true.
Mhm. Yeah, you know what happens when two people try to control the same car? You always get in an accident, right? Remember, like you see in the movies, one person's trying to don't turn left, turn right,
Yeah,
and
like a backseat driver, as they call
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
hit a tree or something.
right.
Eventually, I mean, you can try to keep it working, but they can only
Us.
take it for so long. If you let's say you have a
Yeah,
backseat for 1 hour, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's
That's a
gonna.
good example. I like that one. It's true. And it's yeah, it's like we have just examples like that people could think of, and just maybe use their logic, but as we know that Satan hypnotizes these people into thinking otherwise. Yeah, it's also interesting to see, like, I guess for me, like, I've tried to understand this, and I guess I somewhat do. I guess, but I still can't understand from the point of, like, so verse, I think it was verse 100, 107, it says, Our Lord, take us out of this. If we return to our old behavior, then we are really wicked. It's like, I guess for me, it's like, man, if these people, they're going to be saying this, and I guess it's hard to think that, like, if you're in such a bad position like hell, like how could you not be sincere and like really want to change and never go back to this horrendous place again? But as we know, like God knows best that these people really are making false claims. That these people, they're just, I guess it's just lip service, but it, I guess it just baffles me that these people are making these false claims while they're in such, or they're being shown this retribution. Like, how could they even make a false claim? Like, why would they not want to reform? But I guess that's what this life is for. If you have any comments or
Mhm.
understanding on
Sorry, John, I did understand. Got distracted.
that. No, it was just, I guess it was just more so a comment on these, like with the people or the disbeliever that ends up in hell, how they're going to be saying to send them back and give them another chance. But it says these are false claims.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
they'll ask for it, but yeah, we can't hear you. Uh, uh, yeah, I mean, they're gonna ask for another chance. They're not gonna be given a chance though, but God says, even if they were to be sent back, they were still gonna do the same thing because they're still gonna have no memory of this world or anything, and they're gonna end up reliving the life again. It's like saying God sent them back in time to restart. Like say them a time
yeah,
machine.
okay. Yeah, yeah, because I think I heard, I want to say I heard, yeah, I heard the same like from the messenger. He said like how their their memory isn't going to be there because I used to think it's like how could you be sent back and then you
Mhm.
just like imagine like you just for the last like you just got transported back to Earth and then like the memory stuck with you suffering in hell for like 10 years or something. Like wouldn't that want to make you? But
Mhm.
reform like how would these people like even want to go back there? Like they have to be crazy. But I didn't understand that part. I used to
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
how I used to think it was.
anybody who's in hell would want to go back to earth, so they can, escape the misery. But God says they will never be able to escape it. So
Right,
it's just a hypothetical scenario that God says, even
right,
if they
right.
were to be sent back, let's say in a time
Uh-huh.
machine or something, that they would still do the same thing, exact same thing, because all their memory would be wiped out.
Yeah. Yeah, subhanallah, God knows, God
Because
knows.
because
So
what's going to come out, it's not that God is trying to trick people. It's just that the memory's wiped out, so people can really be tested for who they really are.
yeah, that's true, right? Because if someone is just like
Mhm.
being on their best behavior, so they don't get
Mhm.
punished or whipped, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, you're just doing that so you don't get whipped, but you really want to do it. You'd want if you wouldn't, you'd want to do it anyway. Like if there's no punishment, and those people, so those people are bad to
Mhm.
begin with. Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's yeah to me, I guess the way it's said like that, it's more of a test of their character. Because if you're just being good just because you just out of fear of punishment or something, that's not. I don't think that's maybe
Mhm.
inherently goodness. Okay, Sister Javine said maybe she can introduce herself next session. Yes, God willing. Mashallah.
Yeah. Also, mashallah, thank you for sharing about the thing about the adultery. I mean, it is something that the devil will try to confuse people when they come into submission. And I mean, these were people that were, with the messenger. Imagine, like, well, it's not like they were new submitters. They were submitters for a long time, and they knew clearly the laws, and they understood that the Arabic word, what that means as well. hmm I think someone is unmuted. Who's that? John, you trying to say something? Oh, Haveen is unmuted now. Haveen, I think you can try to talk.
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. I can introduce myself. My name is Havin, and I live in Norway. I'm Kurdish,
Okay.
and yeah.
How did you come to submission?
Oh, it's many years ago.
Okay, years ago. Okay, mashallah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Mashallah. Welcome.
Thank
Well,
you. And you are all from the US, or?
we are from, most of us are from the US except Huda, she is in Morocco. And then Abdullah, he is in Turkey, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And then we
Sorry.
have another brother, Jaffer. He's not here right now, but he's in Netherlands.
Okay.
Salam alaikum, Sister Haveen.
Salam alaikum. Well, it's nice to meet you guys or talk to you.
So nice to meet you too, sister. So if you have anybody has any comments or questions about the verses? If not, God willing, we can move to off-topic questions. Are there any off-topic questions? All right, so I guess if there are no comments or questions, God willing, we can conclude our study. So thank you, Brother John, for leading the study. And thank you all for participating. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum, brothers and sisters. God bless you guys.
Assalamu alaikum. God bless.